My name's John Fraze. I work at Ankura as a Senior Managing Director, and I'm also the Head of Global Labor Strategy. Today I want to talk to you about labor strategy on a foundational basis. What are the key things you need to understand in an hourly environment to drive performance, productivity, engagement, and the ability to hire and retain the best employees? At Ankura, our labor strategy division focuses on a range of areas in a range of different industries. The two key pillars are: how do we understand what the workforce actually wants and needs? And how do we blend that with the business needs, or the ability to drive performance, capture cost savings, and increase profitability? By putting those two things together with a keen focus on health and safety, we're able to design and implement labor strategies that stick. Our team has traditionally at least 20 years of experience for each senior professional on our team. And typical cost savings on our project are between 11 to 17% of direct hourly labor costs. At the same time, especially these days, our clients aren't looking for cost savings, they're looking for the ability to make more products or provide more services. That's also a key focus for us as the landscape changes. We work with a wide range of industries, whether it's manufacturing, supply chain, distribution, healthcare, retail. Those are all places where we play. And although the industries are different, they share the same challenges. How am I going to hire and retain talent in a tight labor market, especially in an industry where my demand goes up and down? In manufacturing, the key is to not have high inventory levels. By keeping inventory level low, hourly workforces are forced to go up and down to meet that changing demand. It's not very popular for the workforce. So we've got to create flexible systems that work for the employees, but also work for the business. That's a tricky proposition if you don't have some of these key building blocks in place. The Ankura approach to labor optimization is not just about cost savings and driving revenue. Yes, that's something we do, and we're going to collect a ton of data, and we're going to review both employee data, production data, whatever you're producing or providing services for. We want to understand those volumes. But we're also going to engage the workforce in a real and meaningful way. To do that, we survey them. It's anonymous. We're a third party. And we not only tell the management team what the results are, we also share all the results with the workforce. It's a transparent process. So although it's anonymous, everybody gets to see all the results. Finally, and most importantly, we need to make sure we do proper change management. That means engaging the workforce again and making sure the management team is aligned with the solutions that we design for them. And finally, getting all the education together and driving those solutions home to implementation where it's a better environment for the workforce and the business is achieving results they've never seen before. One of the things that we touch base on in the very beginning of every workshop we do with management teams is: where are the hidden costs? Management teams will very likely tell us they don't have any idle time. It's all about overtime. That's their problem. The employees are working too much overtime. Well, when we talk to employees, there's a lot of employees out there today, especially the older workforce, that want that overtime. So solving a high overtime problem may create a high turnover problem if you don't understand the full picture. Okay? But we look at a wide range of things. The ability to flex up and down, high levels of unplanned absences seems to be a big one, especially these days, and looking at things like turnover. Those tend to be the big focuses on this list we traditionally discuss. So when we think about labor strategy and shift schedules, many of our customers say, can you just give me the schedule? And we tell them it's not about an 8, 10, or 12-hour shift. There's so much more to it than that. Schedules are really a customer demand-driven system for utilizing people and capital equipment, incorporating employee preferences, optimal HR policies, and high levels of flexibility to provide a low-cost solution. So it's the mix of all of those things that makes up what a real schedule is. And again, our customers say, can't you just give me the 12-hour shift that'll work in my environment? Unfortunately, because we're dealing with people, they all have different wants and needs, and every business has a different demand curve that requires different levels of flexibility built into it. So everything tends to be fairly custom, although it's built on some traditional building blocks that we're going to cover today throughout all the chapters of foundational labor strategy that we're going to share with you. Chapter 1. This is all about work and pay policies. So even if you get the shift schedule right, the employees love the schedule, they love the labor strategies. If you don't get the work and pay policies right, you may end up making some major mistakes that you can't correct later. I'll give you some examples. When you look in I'll use manufacturing as an example here, but it could be healthcare or retail or anywhere else. We've got things like shift change strategies, relief staffing to cover for people that are off, people that are working on a night shift. We have off-shift retention strategies, pay differentials, the 44th hour. All of these things, if you don't correct them when you're looking to do the right implementation, you're not going to be able to get this money back later. This is an example from an actual customer of ours that said, thank you for the great labor strategies, we'll take it from here. And what happened is they ended up implementing, the employees were very happy, and they said, this is much more expensive than we thought it would be. It's going to cost us about $3 million over the course of the year. We're 6 months in, we're about $1.5 million in the hole. What happened? And we said, did you change any of the work and pay policies so critical to the business success? And they said, we never thought about that. You can't avoid getting into those work and pay policies. If it's a non-union environment, how do we engage the workforce to do this together? And if it's a union environment, how do we sit down with the union leadership team to negotiate in a way that's transparent and where both sides win? So that's critical. But I want to touch on two of those categories with you today. The first one is a shift differential. Hourly environments are famous for paying shift differentials to people on a second or third shift. Maybe it's weekend work. We'll pay another shift differential for that. So on first shift, we traditionally don't pay a shift differential. It's day shift, okay? Second shift, maybe we pay 25 cents. Third shift, maybe 40 cents or 50 cents. Sometimes these numbers are much higher. Maybe it's 50 cents on second shift and $1 on third. And I ask leadership teams all the time, why are you paying a shift differential? And what they tell me is that, well, we're asking people to work second shift, and that's much more difficult than first shift, so we're going to compensate them financially for that. And third shift, well, that's really hard. They have to work overnight, and so we really need to pay them more for that. And I ask them a couple of questions. I say, by paying somebody more money, do they like the shift schedule now? And they say, no, they still don't like the shift schedule, but they're willing to tolerate it. I say, do you want to have employees that don't like what they're doing, but they're tolerating it? That's not going to work in the long term for you. On top of that, they told you they have a scheduling problem, not a pay problem. So you're solving an operational and HR issue with a financial solution. That also doesn't work. The third reason why I'm going to tell you shift differentials are a terrible idea is because when you think about what the most popular shift is, it's day shift. And in this example, we're saying first shift. But the second most popular shift in the United States and Canada, preferred 2-to-1 over its counterpart, is third shift. Third shift is preferred 2-to-1 over second shift. So why do we pay more money in a shift differential to third shift? It makes absolutely no sense. And management teams tell me, well, it goes first, second, and third. See how the numbers get bigger? So we make the numbers for dollar compensation bigger too. It's completely illogical. It does not make sense, yet we're spending money every day on this for no apparent reason. Okay, so yes, the least popular shift is second shift. Why is that? You never see your kids. You go to work before they come home from school, and you go back to work, and you come home from work when they're already asleep. So it creates a very difficult family situation. Okay, so shift differentials do not make sense, and they do not drive value for you. The right answer is, let's get better shift schedules for our employees that they actually want to work, giving them more days off. They can work longer shifts and get 80 more days off a year before they take a single hour of vacation or holidays. So a lot of companies today in a wide range of industries are looking at 12-hour shifts. And this brings me to that second category I wanted to talk to you about, the 44th hour. The 44th hour is a critical pay policy to catch before you implement your solutions. To do this, you need to understand federal labor laws. Federal law states that we can't pay average week to week. We have to set a pay week for our employees, and if they work over 40 hours in that week, we need to pay them time and a half. So as I share with you the first shift schedule we're going to talk about today, this is a 12-hour shift, and for day shift, it's the most popular shift schedule in the country right now for 7-day operations. Key, 7-day operations. If you have to cover 7 days, This is how employees would rather do it than any other shift schedule out there. You work half the time and you play half the time. So in the first week, you work Monday and Tuesday and you get Wednesday and Thursday off. Then you work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before getting Monday and Tuesday off. You work 2 days and then you get a 3-day weekend, and that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. A 3-day weekend every other week without taking any vacations or holidays. That means if you look towards the bottom of this slide, I'm going to work 182 days a year, which means I'm also going to get 182 days off. Work half the time, play half the time. I get half my weekends off. They're 3-day weekends, and I never work more than 3 shifts in a row. So yes, they're 12-hour shifts. They're long. They're 50% longer than an 8-hour shift. But I get so many more days off, and I never work more than 3 shifts in a row on my base schedule. So what's the problem with this great schedule that people tend to love? The problem is I'm working 48 hours in my first week and 36 hours in my second. And what that means is when I work 48 hours, I've got to pay 52 hours. 48, 8 hours at time and a half, gets me to 52 paid hours. In my second week, I only work 36 hours. So I'm only paying 36 hours. Now, just because I'm averaging 44 hours of work across those 2 periods, or pay across those 2 periods, 42 hours of work on average should be 43 hours of pay, right? 2 hours of overtime on average, but federal law doesn't allow me to do that. And that means that I have an increase in payroll costs of 2.3%. That can be very expensive, especially for companies with a very large workforce. So yes, let's go to 7-day operations and maximize capital utilization and drive better service for our customers. But let's watch out for these pay policies and design the schedules properly so we're not just adding additional costs to the structure without understanding that with our eyes wide open.